Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave.
Hello, happy Easter, happy Passover. He is risen and skating is still going on this season. So if you are new here, please subscribe below and smash that like button because we have been such hot tamales of topics lately and we will discuss it. And Jonathan is in a different location and he still has vases. I bet you say vases because you're in the opera. And
yeah, at certain price points, they turn into a vase.
A vase and a vase. Yes.
Amazing. Well, this is the place I used to sit at in the window. But when it's so bright outside with those windows behind me, lighting becomes so difficult,
I like
Dave.
this house better at Christmas. I don't know if we're like having a little art installation problem going on here. But
the guest house is technically an art gallery.
Oh, as it would be. You know, it's a walk-in closet for my sweaters, you know.
Everyone has priorities, and you have a lot of sweaters, so there you go.
A lot, yes. It's bad, you know, because I go behind my parents' house and my apartment, and my parents actually have an idea of how many I actually own. It's you know.
Yeah, we've all got things. Some people collect faces, you know, it is what it is.
Wait, can you use that for 1 second? 1 second, then we'll get into the skating. What's happening there? Do they scare you at night?
Yeah, sometimes. And I've been teaching from this piano, so it does feel like there's like an audience. It's like the Muppet guys are above me. Yeah, it's intense. Okay. Over here we have gas masks. So, you know, it's like
art
very edgy. Art is everywhere. Not always on the ice, but sometimes.
Listen, did you see that opening number of Dani G skating by each one of the girls doing his opening choreography? That was a moment. And it's so funny because they're dressed in these beautiful dresses that they appear in the competition that cost a lot of money. And he's wearing jeans. And like, I don't remember what top he was wearing, but it gave off the vibe of jeans and a hoodie. I'm sure he wasn't in a hoodie. I'm sure we'll get 17,000 comments. How dare you? Or if it was a hoodie, it was a Gucci hoodie, whatever. The man had jeans on and it just, I would like him to spend a little time into his effort and really skate beautifully, right?
It did tell you a lot, didn't it?
I talked to someone today that was in a hotel room at the Worlds. There was like a situation at Worlds and they were all talking and I think it was like someone was in Trankov's hotel room, Hot Sergey was there, and who knocks on the door but Dani G. And like Dani G and Hot Sergey hadn't like seen each other or really spoken since he left Eteri, and they were all imbibing as one does at a World Championships. Because what people don't understand is that people drink as intensely as the competition is. So the coaches reach that level and the parents.
They need an outlet. Yeah, their coping mechanism.
So the bar or hotel rooms at a nationals or a Worlds, you will see things happen that you do not even. Members
we know that. We know this. This to be true. Yeah.
You know, that the release of the stress is as intense as the buildup. And that's...
Yeah, it's true. Because these coaches don't have the performance to actually channel all of that energy. So they've just got to do it at the hotel.
It is something else. Okay. But we were all stuck inside in St. Paul, Minnesota, when we couldn't be outside because it was too cold and there was only the walkway. Disastrous mess. Epic proportions, right? It was
with several Olympic medalists.
And Boston Worlds was up there. That was just a peak for everyone. I think it was in the US, it was in a fancy city. Everyone was feeling themselves. Okay, I digress, but there is a Hot Sergey rumor. You know, he has offers to go places.
And just to be clear, Hot Sergey is Sergey
Razanov.
Yes.
The former boyfriend of Alina Kostornaia, although they've now unfollowed each other.
Oh.
That is official. The other stuff about that they used to live together at the Angels of Plushenko, that is, you know.
Just gossip. Okay.
The stuff that's written in the comments under the articles about this on Sports.
Okay. Well, comments can be very heavily weighted.
We'll get to that.
Yes. Okay.
So there, before the World Championships, the scuttlebutt had been that Bo Yang Jin was supposed to be going to the cricket club, and that so was Rika Kihira. Because remember, Japan, like 2010, they used to love to move their skaters around the world like chess pieces and know that they could get the Morozov choreography and political pull and this one for this coaching. And they would take their skaters who had their jumps and have them work with all different people to add whatever they needed and whatever things happen in the business of skating. But things have changed over time. But they are certainly trying to get specialists, as anyone is. I think people aren't just laying down because the Russians are winning at the moment and swept the podium as they did. And I really think swept the season, as we all saw.
Correct.
There is no denying that. But I don't think that the other nations are necessarily just giving up, even though they're down in this war. So Hatsurge has an offer to go with Mia Hamada, and Mia Hamada is not pleased with how Rika performed allegedly at the World Championships. Understandably.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I would imagine I don't think that we'll see Rika, doing choreography with Stefan Lambiel, at least in terms of the training time. I do not think that she will be training, hardcore at his training base. I would imagine maybe programs, but not the training every day. So the rumor is if he wants Razanov to go over there and work with her on the triple axel, that could be very interesting. That's like a game changer, because remember, his career's over with Eteri, and then he didn't have any other students at the Angels of Plushenko because the Zhilina sisters are working now with Evgenia and their mother as a coach. And Trusova is with the other coach there because she originally went with Hatsurge. So his career is kind of over in Russia at the moment. So probably a good move. I mean, they are making so much money. You know that it's $350 for a half-hour lesson with either nice Sergei Dudikov or Danny G in Mexico. And there's also Hot Sergey and Benoit camp going on. Like, there's a lot happening this summer. People are cashing in.
Well, they got to make their money. Yeah.
Make it, honey. Okay.
Hustle.
Okay.
Yeah. $350 per half hour, which is interesting because you can put 350 flailing arm movements in 30 seconds.
I think you learn how to draw the heart on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Probably some miming classes, I would think. Some mime work off ice. Yeah.
And why not the master of the boogie woogie? Or is he just there? Notice how he's never teaching them beautiful movement. And I have a theory, Jonathan. Do you think he's trying just to get them to do extra cardio? Is that it, to keep them
It's all under the ruse of dance, but it's actually aerobics. Yeah.
What I heard about the Eteri training. You know how Tom Z does that long until it's clean day?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like, oh, apparently that's every day at Team Tutberidze. If you miss an element in your free skate, you have to finish the program and then redo the program again without errors keep going until it is. But this is why they are so robotic, because this is what's happening. One, they are so controlled so they don't make a mistake. And listen, there's a reason why they skate that way.
Yeah, because again, consistency is their weapon.
Yeah.
Not the programs. And yes, I know they have difficult jump content, but it is the consistency above all that has made that program so successful.
They're certainly not going to take certain risks, right? Or just in the way that they perform elements. So it's an interesting approach. So look, it breeds consistency. You can't argue with the consistency. That is something
It has gotten results. And if your sole purpose is the result, I guess it's working.
Listen, they had 1 million girls in that ice show. I eventually imagine, because I know that they've talked about doing professional shows, and we saw Medvedeva skate 2 programs here, and Zagitova was there.
The Anna Karenina, no less.
Yes. And she wanted us to know that her dress was taken in, which I thought was a little troubling. But
a weird thing to lead with, yeah.
Nothing to advertise. I don't know. It was just.
Did a triple loop.
Did do a triple loop. Did do 2 triple salls. Maybe not completely rotated, but. Okay, so she has a sal and a loop. You think
Paris title, here we come. Yeah.
are we pretending we're going for the Olympics? Like, what are we going? Okay, how do I word this? I'm wondering at what point she's acknowledging the reality of the situation, because
there has been no acknowledgement under the current guise. The assumption is that she's coming back next season.
The press still pretends that Zagitova could come back and win if they. I mean, the Russian press is a comedy of show unto itself. You know, no one is giving realistic quotes. This is what the Russian press does.
I even found that when Meryl and Charlie, they were like, will they or won't they come back in 2018? And I thought, who thinks they're coming back? Like, I'm so confused. Or like, you know, all these articles years later that so-and-so's retired. I'm like, they've been retired for like 6 seasons. What are we talking about?
Meryl and Charlie's situation is interesting. It's a little different there because they had been out of the competition circuit for those many years. Medvedeva has been skating and participating, was at the Russian test skates. It's like a different situation. But Meryl and Charlie had been performing in shows. Technically, no one ever officially retires anymore. It's not like a thing, but because you don't have to turn professional to put that line in the sand, so no one ever closes any doors. However, you know, in the US, maybe Lynn Plage puts that out there so that you can get on the Today Show, refresh your brand. I mean, here's the thing, like, to get the shows, that's one thing, right? And Meryl and Charlie were getting the shows, but an Olympic season is a once in a 4-year opportunity for every former Olympian to get more speaking engagements, to be relevant again. Maybe you get hired by a media outlet to cover the Olympics or to appear. So it's really like a marketing tool. And that's kind of the business, at least in the US, especially now that, I mean, it was that skating was like a unique opportunity where you could perform and do shows. After Bruce Jenner won the decathlon, you know, was on TV. These are unique situations, but someone like, I don't know, Maurice Green, like, he's not giving like a hurdling sprint.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He's not giving a sprinting like exhibition and getting paid for it. So every 4 years, you gotta like get out there in front of the public. Maybe you can get on the Celebrity Apprentice, get that money, get whatever, right?
Right,
so,
right.
I think, but in Russia, it's interesting because they do have enough talented skaters. What are we going to see Evgenia do? Remember last year, she was offered to host the Ice Age show with Zagitova, and then Eteri put the kibosh on that, allegedly, but maybe now they'll be hosting together or doing things. They'll be getting their money, don't you worry.
Yeah, exactly.
When I saw that opening number, I was like, oh, Eteri has a collection. She has a full collection of pawns. It's a chess piece.
They're her vases.
Yes.
She can rearrange them. She can color coordinate them. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. Need a man? No problem. Grab one representing Georgia and paint him in all blue. He blew it. Yeah.
Did he ever at the Worlds? But here, yes.
We didn't really talk about this in our world coverage, despite having covered it for like 12 hours. But he was invited to the exhibition and did his blue-faced genie thing there too. He really likes that.
They're very artistic in that rink. I feel that.
Yeah.
Really a focus.
Yeah. What did you make of Kostornaia here? I mean, that was the most interesting part of the whole show to me, or in anticipation, was to watch the show because of this whole Kostornaia, you know, big reveal kind of situation.
The program was a lot of
nothing
as expected. I think
she threw out a triple flip.
Right, which we had seen. I mean, we've seen, okay, her triple flip is very wonky right now on the pick and on the pattern, and she's kind of under rotating a little bit. It's a little sketch, her triple flip, but remember, I don't know that she's having any real jump lessons right now. Isn't my understanding, and who knows because we're not there, but was that they kind of have her on you're going to work your butt off, and when you deserve coaching, we'll invest in you situation. I think obviously it looks like she is working hard and on track for meeting whatever deadline they want. I mean, look, they're already making money off of her on the show. I don't think that they're going to kick her out, but I think it's tenuous, right? She needs pushing and keep developing. What I saw from her is that she had more speed. She looked in better cardio
condition. Yeah.
Before. It looks like she has been working her tail off. I mean, we see her in the dance sessions, and I think that she's putting the training in, which I don't think she was before, at the same rate, at the same energy level. And it looks like, okay, she had a little more height in the Salchow. The program itself was a lot of nothing. I don't think that she has the magique that she had before, but it looks like there were moments where you're like, okay, it could come back. It could come back, maybe not the same as before, but in a different way. So what do you think?
I mean, I was just sort of floored by the emptiness of the program, because again, even before she struggled this season, last year, we still enjoyed her skating in spite of the programs. Like, I always felt like you were asking Maria Callas to sing like a McDonald's jingle, was sort of like taking a skater of this quality and sort of making it busy and not allowing us to enjoy the real moments that make her so much more special and unique than a lot of her colleagues. And this again sort of seemed very pantomime heavy, kind of empty emotionally in certain moments. So now listen, it's a show. She's just getting back to training. All these things are happening. But I was sort of like, I was reminded that even before she left, there were questions around the material that she was being given. Oh, yeah. And I think those questions remain.
Okay, so I think that people have a view of Alena Kostornaia in their minds of her doing the Angel program, her doing the Adios no Niño program, which are very beautiful pieces of music, and the choreography went along with that. And
went along enough.
Yes.
At the time, yeah.
It really matched, especially, you know, the falling leaf kind of stag position that she did on the music out of the jump transition before. But this program is more like her free skate to Twilight, where she has very like lyrical enough music playing like in a naughty kind of knockoff, right? But then she has the footwork section that's like where she's like getting down, right? Where she's breaking the spell and giving you like a hard edge. And that's what this program felt like, only she didn't have the power to back it up. When she did it before and she had the triple axel and she had the jumps, it's like, okay, this girl can have some fun in the second half of her program because she's giving you beautiful skating in the beginning and she's clearly the best in the world. She can do what she wants.
Yeah, she's earned the right to now break it down and be a little sillier. Yeah, I understand.
She's a teenager, and I think that sometimes we ask these skaters to be, you know, skate to classical music and be more sophisticated than maybe they really are authentically, right? And they give a different thing. She still is a teenager, and she still has some sass and some personality to her. What I think we notice is that the footwork here is not as effective because she's not in really the best of condition to do it. She's likely not running programs now at all and working on elements and working on getting her jumps and getting stuff. So in the building process, you know, she's in exhibition.
She is in process. That's exactly the right word. Yeah.
So, I mean, no miracle has happened, but I think she's on track. I'm curious, did she look as physically strong as she did before? I don't know. Like, I think that there's such a, you know, strength to weight ratio is so key in skating, right? You want to be in cardio shape. You want to have like lean muscle. That's why some people only do Pilates and they don't do weightlifting because they think that weightlifting bulks them up. And then maybe that's hard to get the jump rotation speed. So there's all these different theories. Like in the cricket club, they only do Pilates.
Well, and I remember when you were talking to Max Aaron one time, he was so dedicated to building every muscle group and he came back totally ripped and everyone was like, whoa, no, this isn't going to work.
So there's like a real art form to this. And I don't know that everyone is comfortable kind of having the conversation in the right way. So I don't, like, who knows like what off ice they're doing versus what they did before. So I'll be curious to watch, because obviously there's a lot of stress on this skater to get a quad and get a triple axel, and you hope in a healthy way, but who knows, right? Like this is.
What I do have to say is interesting is because we've been having, this is a big story in ladies skating, who will represent Russia? Because again, they could have the top 3 competitors from a pool of 7 different lady competitors. So what's been interesting is in the past couple of weeks, 2 people I had all but crossed off my list for contention are kind of back in the picture, if even on the periphery. Like, I didn't know Elizaveta was going to be able to pull off a silver medal. And each time I see her quad in practice, it ever gives me this like strange hope that it will find its way into the program. And then suddenly Kostornaia, I had all but sort of got the energy from her that she was finished, but perhaps it was just that she was finished in her current situation. Maybe she is in more of the conversation than I had realized before. It's sort of making that conversation really interesting again.
It is interesting. You know, there's a lot of, I imagine the stress in Eteri's rink is starting to build, because it's almost like everyone talks about like in an Olympic year in gymnastics, I know that like the pressure really starts when that clock hits January 1st. It's a little bit different in skating because you're already competing in the Grand Prix at that point. The season has already started. In this situation, it's like Worlds has just ended and now summer training starts and spring training. So right now is when they're trying to get the quads and the triple axels and the ultra C elements, as they say, to put them in the program. Kostornaia is trying to get her triple axel back, and then obviously trying to get the quads as well. Daria is trying to get a triple axel in quads. Maya Khromykh, you know, Kamila Valieva has done other quads in practice,
including in this show under spotlights.
Yes, so she is trying. Like they're not just standing still. They're all trying to make their upgrades, their improvements to their arsenal. So it's an intense atmosphere that you don't know what's happening with Anna Shcherbakova, what will happen there. She's coming off of a world championship. So there's a lot of moving parts happening. But I do have the sense of watching Kamila that if the Olympics were next week, that she would be the favorite right now.
Yes, I agree.
And in terms of how it's been judging and how she's skating right now, I think that she is kind of moving into the front runner. Although Anna just became the world champion, it almost feels like, okay, that chapter ended. Now we're moving to the new season, and Camilla's a contender, and she's the new favorite.
But as history will remember, Mary Lou Retton won a gold medal in 1984. Why might she have won that gold medal, Dave?
Because the Russians boycotted.
Because her main competition wasn't there. So Anna Shcherbakova, yes, is world champion, but we know the one really gunning for that Olympic gold was absent from this lineup.
Well, I think that Anna is gunning for it. I just don't know if it's going to be possible in a year. But maybe Kamila will have a growth spurt in the next months, although I don't think that'll happen if you read about us in Russia.
Okay, all right, okay.
But I do think that she is the one that you're like, okay, if you stay in one piece, you are the favorite. But to me, Daria was moving more beautifully than Kamila was. Kamila has a beautiful jump to extension, but if you're talking about leaning into the edge and hitting,
it's all Daria, yeah.
All Daria all day long.
Yeah.
And there was some different clips of her practicing, and I think she moves so beautifully that if she gets a triple axel or a quad and can just improve her triple combinations to be a little bit more consistent and bigger on the straight and narrow, which she made big improvements from last year to this year. If she can,
and the consistency for her was very much a problem when she was on the Junior Grand Prix. You know, even 2 seasons ago, it was a journey to sort of watch her high highs and low lows. So if they're following this sort of Mission pattern, like where we were talking about, where you have the big picture in mind, they have gotten her very steady and consistent. So maybe they needed that before they can now start adding extra elements. But if she could do it, she would be the most well-rounded choice for me, because I find there's something impressive about Valieva's extension, but it sort of relies on tricks to give you that image of artistry to me. But also, I think she is probably more artistic than the material she's being given. We watched more old programs at this exhibition that included impressively large quads, but also included moments of silence where she literally did 25 spastic hand gestures that were given to her. But Daria somehow gets better material.
But in terms of how they actually judge, and you know, she does, like, she did a counter into the quad toe and then a beautiful extension. So she's going to get at least a +4 for that, right? And you think
the transition point that they have truly mastered.
They've really mastered the GOE points in terms of the and on paper, that if they want to give them the points, it's justifiable. So looking at that, you're like, okay, Kamila is at this point where she's going to get this point. Her spins were fast, so right, they were probably better than Anna's spins. You're like, okay, she is getting these technical points. I do feel that Anna has more inside in terms of a relationship with the kind of music that she picks, but I don't think it really adds up to enough. At the end of the day, I think Camila's...
Well, and Kamila has that thing that we all know happens, where it's that surprising youthful energy that can come in, blow us all away, and steal the moment from who we think is about to get their Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it happen time and time again. And the stars are lining it up for Valieva to take this. In the same way we knew Zagitova. I know everyone thought Medvedeva was going to win, but when we saw her at that Junior Grand Prix final, you just kind of knew that momentum was on this girl's side.
It's literally like you buy an iPhone and you're already thinking about, what is the next iPhone going to have? I just spent over $1,200 on an iPhone. Oh, the camera's good. I'm going to have an even better camera next year, right? That's literally
and
what...
Yes, they are.
You're like, oh, in my mind, I'm already thinking, Camila's here. I'm not that impressed with Petrosian yet, but what is she and Akatieva going to give us in 6 to 8 months, right? And you're thinking like, oh, that's the next model. It's literally an iPhone coming out.
Because Sophia's already doing the triple axel, triple toe, and we knew it took the camp a while to find the triple axels for, so I think that already we know that as the team is learning as well, which I think they have continued to learn as they have coached, they're applying all of their knowledge to the younger ones we don't even know yet. Yeah.
That is the reality of the situation. But that's...
I'm curious if you think that there is any validity to these Trusova rumors.
Yeah.
You do?
Oh, well, okay. So on April 1st, the articles came out and you're like, okay, is this April Fool's? April 1st is April Fool's Day around the world. It's also the opening of the transfer period in Russia. Remember the drama last season. I left after the transfer period. So Trusova's dad is always rumored to have been talking to many coaches, Rafael, Plushenko, Tutberidze, which, by the way, parents in the US do this all the time too. I know many a skating parent. Patrick Chan's mother was always rumored to be looking over her shoulder to be, where's her son going to go to college? I mean, it used to be like, he's going to go to Columbia or he's going to go to UPenn. And it's like, well, who's going to coach you, right? Like they were always looking for that next advantage. And that's normal. You're in a competitive sport.
Yeah.
Like, no teams here.
That's Patrick's mom calling you. She wants to know.
So annoying. We have an extra... Oh my God. So we have a extra phone line in my parents' house that has for the Wi-Fi and internet, and it's just like you just get spam calls.
Those are the only people that would ever call a landline. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a little tedious. Of course, no one picks it up. So anyway, as we continue, Trusova going back, I think it would make sense for Eteri to take her back. Because
in concept, or you think it's actually, because what's interesting is the article said that the head of Sambo 70 implied that she was coming back. And then Terry was like, that guy has nothing to do with us. Please leave me alone. I'm not talking about this. And Plushenko was like, absolutely not.
That's what she says. And she seems very exasperated in the call.
Well, imagine how they found her. I bet that press, again, we know how that press operates. Imagine how they hound her for quotes.
I think that you can just call Eteri on the phone.
Right.
Do you realize how steamed she is? Like,
yeah.
I don't think you're just like getting her number and being like, hey, EG, how you doing?
What's up? What you watching? Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
None of that. I think this is a giant chess match is what we're watching. And because Plushenko was giving no comment about it, Yana was saying that it wasn't.
Well, he did on Instagram, right? So he wrote over the post that this is a funny April Fool's joke.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah. Which the guy who said it denies. He said I was not joking.
Has been talking to her parents that Sasha doesn't want to go back, that her parents maybe do want her to go back, and that discussions are being had. But that's typical for her dad. So listen, do I think that Laishev wants her back? Yes, I think they want to sweep the Olympic podium. And at that point, if she does go back, I think that we should stop kidding ourselves and name Eteri the national team coach after this season, because Mishin is the only other coach of esteem that I really believe that she could not just steal someone from.
Right.
Like, he's Alexei Mishin, but he's in St. Petersburg. He's in his own universe, right? Yeah. He's in his own bubble. He's also 80 years old, like a very respected person. He's got Tutberidze. I think that is a safe. I don't think Tutberidze was going to Eteri anytime soon, and I feel like that's the thing here. But she steals from Panova, she steals from Davidov, and then everyone says, "Oh, but Eteri's the best coach." No, she didn't teach those kids from birth. She's like the Karoli. She plucked a talent from here, she plucked a talent from there, and yes, she trained them. But she's like
curating. She's curating the best skaters in Russia.
Art curator, right?
Yeah.
She's like pulling from here, and she's got the judges. I mean, I guess her training method and the consistency and the skill, it sure as hell isn't choreography. It is not jump technique in terms of pure jumps, but in consistency. And she does have, it's the environment, it's the mental approach that they have, and they put out a certain package that wins with judges on their side, giving them the marks that they would like. So, I mean, do I think that Davidov or Panova are ever going to be able to have a legitimate shot? No, because their kids are never going to get the marks.
And we've seen the federation play the game now. So if you're with Buyanova, you are not getting a bump that your competitors may be getting.
For female skaters, she has back with male skaters, and I think that is a little bit of a different situation. But in terms of female situations, she's basically becoming Arena Vina, and quicker than Arena did it in rhythmic gymnastics. So I think that in many respects, they should name her the national team coach, and it would cut down on a lot of drama, at least in terms of the switching. And listen, the top talent is going to her one way or another. And
the federation's telling the world that that's the school they support in ladies singles. It's clear.
One skater from Panova, Senya, they wanted her, then she was injured, then they didn't want her. It's like they want them, they don't want them, they move, Kanisheva they took. These are not it's not a fair playing field. It's not like Davidov goes and his skaters have an equal opportunity of winning. No, and they don't have the same training environment or the same support. Listen, if you skate with Team Tutberidze, you know that you are in survival of the fittest every single day. So if you can survive that daily pressure, you get to the competition, Likely not as
That's easy. The competition would be less competitive in many ways than it is at your home rink because the most advanced skaters in the world are all at home.
Do you know what Eteri said to Medvedeva in the Kiss and Cry in 2017 at the Worlds? She literally told her that anyone could have won in this field. So, come on. Like,
she wasn't wrong. I don't know that's what I would want to hear after I just won a Worlds, but you know.
Come on, they are going to win, okay? They have, you have that reputation, the judges. You think CSKA is going to get the same points? No, you look like the sloppy kids who can jump, but who don't have that intensity, fire, that confidence, that polish, that 17,000 long programs that they've done because they missed an element and they had to keep going. There's just a different thing. And I'm not saying that it's right or that it's healthy, but.
And again, despite our admiration for so many Russian skaters and teams, we're so pegged as not or being threatened or something by the top skaters being from Russia. I have no problems with the fact that the top ladies in the field right now are from Russia. When it becomes a little less interesting to me is when all of the top females come from the exact same school. So when we listen, obviously the ladies' field was not as deep or as amazing at the World Championships as another discipline like the men, but the fact that we had a Tutberidze, a Shcherbakova, and a Trusova, at least I was watching 3 totally different skaters. And there's something when, if Eteri is going to dominate so much and only use one choreographer and continually use the same formula and use the same jumping technique for everyone, it does become a little boring as a viewer at times because we're seeing the same formula over and over again. So I, again, admired Trusova for just trying to switch it up. And there was something alluring about that.
Right? Like, because the Karolis had a little bit of a robotic quality to some of their lesser talents too, like a Hillary Grivich trying to get it. She did look a little robotic, trying to do the Kim Zemaskal thing, but they had a bunch of kids that looked like carbon copies. I will say that in these intense environments, I was thinking about, I skate in different rinks around the New Jersey area, and each rink can have its own vibe. It doesn't always have it, but there are certain rinks that have certain vibes to them. And I was trying to explain to someone in Hackensack, like what the Hackensack vibe is like and why it is. And I was just like watching, because I skate with Jojo Starbuck and I skate one way. And I skate with Igor, and it's like similar to that when like we're working together. And like, I just noticed that I get into my knees more and I'm more relaxed. And like Jojo is like, think about a pink light going through the top of your arm. And you're gonna look at that light and you're gonna keep it going and you're gonna share it behind you and keep your arm moving and into the, and she's teaching you to be fluid, right? But she's very precise and she's very exact with what she wants, but she does it in a different way than Galina does. And they're about the same age, but she's encouraging and yet a perfectionist, and you'll just do it in a different way. When you're in Hackensack, many of the coaches there are maybe like, we're not the top skaters in Russia at all. And maybe they went to other countries to compete, but they skate like there's a war, there's a ration, and they are fighting and scrapping, and they're gonna rip and steal that small rotten potato from the cupboard to feed themselves so that they can keep going and move from 11th to 10th. And that is and it is not a beautiful type of skating, but it is an aggressive type of skating. And if you see Bychenko, if you see any of those like guys that have skated at Hackensack over the years, they all kind of like jump and sprint like that because that's the environment and that's the vibe. Yeah. It is gritty.
Yeah.
You see a Yulia Lautova skater on the ice. They are not moving for you. They do not care. They will get, and it's that kind of dog eat dog environment. It is not a Frank Carroll, let's think about those clouds type of situation.
In its own way, Dave, it reminds me of Harry Potter and the schools. Do you know what I mean? Or the different houses or whatever they were, because a Frank coming up under like a Frank environment is where I would think someone like me would have thrived. This kind of like scrappy, aggressive, bite, get it, be competitive nonstop. As we've talked to, like when you talk to Karen Kadavi, the energy under Carla with her and Jill there did not encourage her. It diminished her. She couldn't do it. But
Well,
we know in other situations, it encourages the person.
Okay, so but it also did get her results, but maybe it wasn't an enjoyable process because Karen did, you have to give the Fosseys credit. And I think that I know that they have issues with like what happened and how he trained them, and they always wonder. But at the same time, Karen was not successful before she went to Carlo, and then he really put the package together. I do think there are some doubts about like, why didn't he have me work this triple, and why did he have me do this? And maybe some of his strategy was not perfect, and you always wonder. But as Elena Bechky said, when you're thinking about that, you're focusing on the wrong things, right?
It's true.
And so I think it works for and against you. And I think for the Eteri skaters, it works for and against them, but they have to focus on themselves and how they can get motivated internally in getting that quad toe nailed. You know, if Daria is going to be complaining that Eteri's spending more time with Kamila on her quad toe, they could turn around and say, well, Daria, do you have a quad toe yet? Do you have a triple axel? Then
get one and we'll work on it. Yeah.
So I think those environments work for and against you when you join a factory of like that.
I mean, it's even interesting to watch the World Team Trophy entries come in.
Yes.
Because you see some federations, for instance, like Russia, which to me is, they will hilariously walk through the door to take that gold medal in the team event. No one can come anywhere near them, in my opinion. And yet they are approaching this World Team Trophy guns blazing. Like, we have got to get this. We are sending our tippy top. And then you see other countries like kind of juggling, kind of figuring this out. Like, let's try so-and-so. Let's try so-and-so.
There's different things at play. We'll discuss that. Getting back to Trusova, I think she'll have a better chance politically if she's with Eteri than she's with Shcherbakova, because I think her skating skills and her choreography and her transitions are ass. But you know what? The judges are more willing to overlook it when she's there, even if Plushenko helped her this year. And maybe he kept her in one piece longer. So people would leave the Karolis and come back. Like, it happens. I think, so look, if she wants to make the Olympic team in a rigged system, I think that she should go to Eteri because she's more likely to get the points and the backing. And at a certain point, that competition is so intense that if you're not in the competition, even if you're working so hard, how are you going to compete against the girls that are there every day? Right? Like, what are they doing? Like, is the sport then passing you by? I think for Terry, it's smart because I think that she wants to sweep the Olympic podium and she needs to make sure that she has all the players. And if you have a quad jumper that can do a quad lutz and a quad flip and a quad sow and a quad toe, I want that one in my ring. And think about how much better she'll make Daria. Think about how much better she'll make Anna, Kamila, Kostornaia. Listen, I want her there.
It could be interesting to see what that dynamic would do for someone like Kamila, who this year has kind of very clearly been enjoying probably queen status in that ring. I'm intrigued because, again, it's interesting. The same Trusova that left Eteri may be quasi the same Trusova that's going back to Eteri, if that indeed is the case. Like, yeah, the short program skating skills were slightly better, but we're still dealing with big unruly quads. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's almost the same situation, except that quad sow is so much bigger now. Almost too big, obviously.
Right? We have seen her do each quad beautifully, never all together and never consistently from event to event. I think Eteri had a point that if they limited the quads and did them well, she would get the points and win. They felt that she couldn't because Kostornaia was getting so many components. Why am I not getting the components? We're not getting the components because your skating looks like that. But if you did land them, they would start to go up from time to time. And you got to be consistent. And I think we've seen that her own instincts do not breed consistency. Her own instincts breed aggressiveness, they breed risk-taking, they can have spectacular athleticism, but not consistency in terms of a free program. And I think she needs someone to kind of pick which quads to put in the program and which ones to prepare on the side and how to get them done. And whether it's her instincts or her coaches or whatever the situation is, they failed at that this season. And yes, there were injuries there and she was getting better, but then they threw in the kitchen sink at the end of the season. It just seems like there's no plan. And I don't have any confidence that they were going to rectify that situation. And it's interesting because she was upset that she was the number 3 girl and that she wanted to do more quads than they would let her put in. Well, Plushenko let her put in the triple axel. He let her put in every little thing under the sun at different points during the season. And at Worlds, she was able to put in all the quads for the free. And it got her the same result that she was so upset with.
Well, except it got her first place in the free. I mean, that's the thing. Yes, she got the bronze and ironically was...
A COVID long hauler was like heaving at the end.
But she may be heaving next year too. I don't know. It won't be. Yeah.
This year it's accidental. And she got a generous bump in PCS that was undue. What is she going to get that next year when there's Daria and there's Kamila and there's other options, right? Like, I don't know. I think for her, it would be very smart to go there. I think Plushenko should focus on boys and and that she could just go back. That's what I would do. Go back. Look.
Well, and again, I don't think it would even be a lost year for either Kostornaia or Trusova because I think time away, perspective, they're that much older, they can come back in and do different things. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what will happen here.
I don't think she's on track to make the Olympic team with what she's doing now.
Okay.
She was a hot mess if you look at consistency throughout the season. She lost at Worlds to Tutberidze. Trusova should have beaten Tutberidze at Worlds. If you look at their age, if you look at athletic ability, if you look at the top potential, I think her maximum is higher than what Tutberidze can currently offer. We saw today that Tutberidze can do a quad toe, but can Tutberidze do a quad toe and 2 triple axels and a triple in the program? Because only replacing a triple axel with a quad toe, the point differential is not that much.
Yeah, she was also in the same clip showing us a triple axel, triple toe, but again, we haven't seen those things in the context of a program, which would change everything.
Yeah.
But,
and you start to get into like what's their highest scoring potential. And if Tutberidze cannot add the quad toe and to replace one of her lower tariff triples, is it really that worth it for her?
Right.
I think the perception of a quad is huge right now, but can she get it done? I don't know. That's kind of like the burning questions, but and
it's someone I would give, even though there is not some crazy entrance like Valieva's going into it, I would love to see a Tutberidze quad given a +5 and a Valieva quad given a +4.
I mean, I think Tutberidze is probably going for a +2 or +3 if we're being
with real. The entrance, yeah, of course, yeah.
She lands it, but then she doesn't get like a ton of flow out of it, but it's a huge jump and it's big.
And she can't use the free leg the way Valieva can just pop it up, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't think she can scratch her nose with the back of her heel, or the way Valieva probably can.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. So you gave an interview to Russia today? Tell me about this. They try to get
Well, it's fascinating.
The Hopskaya down. So
as well you should. It's a twister and a turner.
And I told her, I said, Yelena, I have so much respect for you, but you have different press laws in Russia. And my understanding is that she works for something that's considered by other Russian journalists to be a Putin propaganda outlet. So do I think that the person that they're calling American journalist, should give the interview about this? No, I don't think that is a smart decision.
Well, it just sort of brought up the same thing, like
twisting words, who's written to me before, and I know that he doesn't understand skating well. So I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you. And other people, no. So how did your...
Yeah, well, you really exploded over there, obviously, over a YouTube Not comment in a YouTube video, but a comment based on another comment in a YouTube comment section. I mean, this is, yeah, it's like going to someone's Facebook comments and making an article out of it.
What do I think happened? I think that they got tremendous coverage from the World Championships, and that one of the writers wanted to keep it going until the next time happened. So they invented a controversy. What they do, they made a video about it. I'm going to re-record it because I didn't have a lot of energy last night. It was not my best. I was two-footing and out verbally. And I was like, you know what, you can do this better. I gave them a poem. Remember, like Eteri gave the poem?
Yep.
Hypocrisy. I gave them a poem. Of course, and then one guy was like, well, what does the poem mean? I said, what it says.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't. You know what? And they don't publish the American slapping them back in their own language. That they don't publish, right?
Funny that. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing that's interesting to me is there is a group of skating fans that become very triggered by criticism from a foreign party, and I just think seeing how the own press has covered. The own Russian press has covered their own skaters. They are not so kind.
Sports is very nationalistic, especially in Russia, and it's covered in a certain way. And in Russia, Sambo 70 and Eteri has become a part of Russian nationalism. So to say anything against Eteri is to be against Russian nationalism, even Plushenko. So Sports Are You that's an entirely like Sambo 70 like environment. So
yeah,
it came originally was from a different website over there, but then they all picked it up and they just called Trusova, and I mean, we could not have bought that kind of publicity. And hysterical. Okay.
Yeah.
And the people that were talking, honey, hysterical.
Well, and again, I love that the Tarasova said that US figure skating should reprimand you. And I thought, as if you work for US figure skating. I mean, there's such confusion
because if you are a journalist covering skating in Russia, you have to write things a certain way. You realize that Elena Vaitsekhovskaya used to be an editor before she crossed Eteri. But that's rationalized in Russia. And that's like, Elena was so inappropriate. There are different rules.
And there's a lot of discussion, sort of, we're aware of our age, we are aware of our gender, and yet we're talking about a sport that is a lot of teenage girls. So I know that it can upset some viewers that it seems like two gay men are discussing, teenage girls, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a sport we love, art that combines competitive sport, and my issues, I believe they are yours also, when we talk about programs, technique, approach to things, it's not about an individual young skater, it's about the team behind them.
Someone is upset with your opinion. They argue like, on the internet, they argue like an alcoholic. We'll pick on whatever they believe your weakness is. So if like a comment, people will be like, they're gay. They're men talking about a girl. They're American, right? Like they will find whatever thing.
The nationalism comment is weird because I was like, you should hear what we say about the American skaters then.
So the UFS is going to be like, oh, they've never insulted any of our skaters before. Are you kidding? The entire thing is great.
Yeah. You have to be able to talk about everything or no one. And that's sort of.
That just shows, but they go to standard comments. They're American. They're jealous.
They're jealous. That's a big one.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
They're anti-Russian. They're afraid of Russian. The funniest thing to me is that Russians will say that people are racist if they're anti-Russian. Like, we're the same race, you idiot. It's xenophobic.
Right.
That just makes you look like a moron, but it's okay. We can be the same race, and you can try to claim.
And you're like, please rest assured that I would dislike this choreography regardless of the nationality of the choreographer. I just don't like this choreography.
Dani G's choreography is heinous to all cultures. Okay.
Yeah, it transcends nationalism.
I believe if it was performed on Neptune, we would also be like, those strange aliens doing the miming. What's
Yeah,
happening?
yeah. Who called them in the program on Neptune? Yeah, yeah.
What's happening? Is that the gravitational pull that's making everything? Understand?
Amazing. Yeah. So I mean, it's tricky.
Did they try? Were you? The articles are going to be spun in a way. Are you tired of the Russians winning? Is the rest of the world?
That, you know, there were a lot of questions along those lines. Is it intimidating that Russia dominates in every field, and that it's all Russia, Russia, Russia? Are we jealous of Russia? Are we this of Russia? And I just thought, why are we talking about one country?
They don't view the art of skating, and that, as I was talking
and
about,
that's the thing. Vicky and Nikki, as we will now forever refer to them, or Galyamov, has nothing to do with Kolyada, has nothing to do with Shcherbakova, has nothing to do with Valieva. These are different people doing different things.
They only focus on the women. Literally, what they
Yeah.
Elena Bechke gave a very nuanced, interesting discussion of the pairs and what happened there with Moskvina. They didn't pick that up in the press. They only are into like, it's like a tabloid, like you would pick up on the subway in London. They're only talking about, is Trusova going to go back to Eteri? Let's call everyone on the phone and get their opinion on whether she should go back. Yeah. That's big news day in Russia. Let's talk to I mean, it's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and when it becomes so big, I think everyone's, like you said, looking to keep the story going.
Okay, let's try to put this in perspective. I saw your girl, Lindsay Thorngren, okay? This morning training. Let's say she gets a new piece of music, all right? Let's say she's gonna skate to Moon River next year, right? Great piece of music. My grandmother loved it, right? And it'd be like, rumored that Lindsay Thorngren is skating to Moon River. Let's call Frank Harrell. Frank Harrell, do you think that it's better that Lindsay is skating to Moon River after what Jonathan Byer said in the skating lesson? Do you think she's changing because of that? And do you think it's a good idea? And let's call Krista Fossey. And now let's call Tom Z. And now let's call Michelle Kwan, who may not even know who Lindsay Thorngren is, but she's going to weigh in. And let's call Evan Lysacek. And then we're going to call Johnny Lear. And then we're going to reach out to this person so we can just keep spinning a story so that we can give each person a comment so that we can get more clicks on a website.
Right.
Nonsense. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean, in a way.
Truth, there's no investigative reporting. They're doing cheap, it's like cable news, okay? But it's like their own brand of crazy. But you know what? It's entertaining.
So, it's how I felt Nicole Bobek, who was obviously had her own issues, but I think the press was so excited because they're like, new Tanya. Hurry, everybody, new Tanya, she stole a TV or something, like new Tanya. And they just wanted to perpetuate this sort of story. And of course,
she was the next one. She had charisma and blonde hair and a beautiful spiral and a mom who may or may not have had a female companion. And they changed coaches all the time. And she had oodles of talent versus like Tanya Kwiatkowski, who was working hard and always going to finish behind her. I mean, yes, it was just like the show.
Yeah. Tanya Kwiatkowski didn't have that outrageous soundbite story coming. And so then everyone gets mad at Johnny for providing so many sound bites. And it's like, but you've taught us that that's what gets a skater in the public. And they were right.
You have it, and it's like it keeps going and going and going and going and going. And that's why I said that it's good that you have Yuma beating Yuzu right now for the sport in Japan. Not for Yuzu fans, maybe, but for Japanese fans. That he beat Yuzu, because it's created another star.
Right.
Because what happened to US figure skating when Michelle and Sasha failed, Michelle and Sasha retired at the same point, and Johnny had a year that was like a siesta, where he was in his emotions and skating to Jesus, and he was not performing well. What happened? All of a sudden, it was like the sport went like in America, right? And it was building like that, but then it really fell off a cliff. So,
and unfortunately, as I remember, Phil Hirsch was just raked over the coals for this comment. It's going to take more than an ice dance success for this to come back in the US. It's going to take a singles star.
It's going to take a lot of single stars. It's going to take more than you need a rivalry. You need this. You need competitiveness. You need consistent results. It takes a lot to build.
Yeah.
So you need events in your country. You need to you know, they need more Boston Worlds and they need this. And Russia does. Russia has the events there. They have the stars. They have the results. And it'll keep building itself. Japan needs to do the same. It's why Korea didn't sustain skating there at the fever pitch that it was outside of Kim Yuna. They were interested in her and her success, but maybe the interest in the sport as a whole didn't catch on in the same way as broadly, right? They have skaters now that were obviously inspired by her, but they're not in these like big arenas. They're competing in smaller rinks now because it has not sustained at that level. So yeah, it's just reality. The other thing is that you can watch skating all over the world now and pick who you like. We're not into American skating.
But that was always, for me, again, even as a kid, it became, as an adult who worked in an international field and was always traveling, and again, I don't care where a singer's from, I want to sing with the best singer. But even as kids, I loved Midori Ito. I loved Lu Chen. I loved all these people. There wasn't a just root for the American. When I would find myself just rooting for the American would be in like the luge, when I have no knowledge of the sport, no investment in any of the things. So I guess I'm rooting for the guy from the US.
But that's what they're trying to cover you as, because they're trying to,
just
trying to cut down in that way.
Yeah. And I was like, again, I legit, I know we criticize a lot of the sport, but I legit love this sport. I think it's an amazing sport. So I love chatting about it. And, you know.
You are loud, you know?
Yeah,
thanks. Let's just get the world team trophy. Okay.
It's like, you and I should be in group therapy, but it's just you and me. Being like, wait, did you read that comment? Did you read this comment? It's like, who else could identify with this? Dave, yes, we should be talking about this more.
What are the comments from fans? There's some fans
just trying to model critical thinking, Dave.
Fans get so nervous. If everyone could just subscribe to Channel 1 on YouTube and just rest assured that every event in Russia will be showed there, I promise you. You don't need to get anxious. Also, if you could subscribe to the hashtags that follow of Team Tutberidze, it'll solve a lot of problems. I don't know how many messages I get, like, how are we gonna watch this Team Tutberidze show? Everything winds up on the internet. Don't worry, you will find it. I will make sure that you get it. We will talk about it.
Do they still have that website, so you want to watch figure skating?
No, Jonathan, I will say one thing. We've had many people that want to criticize us or try to be like, do it. How many of them have lasted? They come, they go. People don't know what it takes.
It's hard work. Yeah.
You try to give an opinion on anything in this sport without pissing someone off, you could be like, my favorite color is blue. How dare you, anti-red person? How dare you say that?
It's real. It's real. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
All right.
That's what I said in the interview. I was like, oh, come on. I was like, people hate us from every country. It's not just Russia. Come on. Okay. Yeah, come on. Get in line.
Was he laughing? Did he get it?
Yeah, he was, and he was very handsome too. I was like, hi.
Sometimes they get it more than they do. But you know what? When I was interviewed by someone about Rika before, and it was shown on Japanese TV. I never got a copy of it, but there was someone that was like talking to me in specific ways, but their entire focus was like, well, Japanese skaters, what do you think of Japanese skaters? And yes, our skaters. And it was like, okay, but there is a bend to different, but I'm sure that Phil Hirsch has a job to talk about American skaters more because that's what's in his market. So you always have to remember what market these people are serving and that there is a nationalism.
And again, Dave, I didn't know how bad it was, even though it's always been in front of me, until I was overseas in France for both of the previous Summer Olympics. And they only showed sports on French television that France excelled at. So I watched hours of like dressage, judo, and escrime, and watched fencing for hours and saw no diving, no gymnastics. And I was like, well, that would never happen in the United States. And then when I came back from the United States, I was like, oh no, our coverage is all similarly based on just the sports in which we excel.
Well, I actually put that the worst coverage I ever saw, I think that NBC during the Rio Games reached a point that was embarrassing. And it was the way that they covered the women's team final in gymnastics and some of the swimming. It was just like anything that you say about Russian propaganda, it was so post-produced propaganda about like, and now the Americans are going to go to Beam and show that they're the best in the world. And then they're going to go here. And granted, the girls won by 8 points or not 10 points, whatever they won by. But it was just inappropriate. And then the men, of course, they didn't even show them at one point, right? So at one of the Olympics. So
it's weird. I actually follow the sports. I don't know.
I really like the British commentators who have no one besides the ice dancers, but they have really nice accents when they say it, right? And
sounds so sophisticated, yeah. But when you don't have a horse in the race, it feels like you're getting real coverage.
You know how to lie to be like I was trying to explain. There are some skaters at the rink in Hackensack that are not with the coaches that they should be. And I was watching Nicole Rizhikova and how good her jumps were. But it was so funny is that, and like I was looking like, look, like whoever taught her that jump, that's who the kids should be with, right? And then I'm like looking, and she does a triple Lutz. It was from her, maybe not the right edge, and it was under rotated as all hell. And they're like, that might be reviewed after the competition. And you're like, might be reviewed. That's how you get a competition.
Yeah.
You have to let the viewer.
Let them down gently.
A lot of letting down gently in this sport. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people think that is aggressive. I could already see the comments. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's discuss the World Team Trophy because I think it's really exciting. I'll do.
I have questions for you.
Okay. Remember, Canada is sending their B team because they have any of the skaters that went to the Worlds. If they fly back to Canada, they have to quarantine. So they are not sending their top skaters here. So they're sending Nam Nguyen, Roman Sadovsky.
Important for Roman, I think. This is an important moment for him.
Yeah, here. Gabby Daleman, Alison Schumacher, Lorian Mate and Thierry Furland, and Caroline and Shane are going. Now, Canada, I think, needs to do well here. I think if their B team could be 4th, then you'd be like, okay, we're in it for an Olympic medal.
Because again, I think as we think about these Olympics, I don't see how anyone could beat Russia for that gold. And I don't see the US having a problem with the silver. Now, stranger things have happened. You never know until it happens. But I think the real battle, which ultimately becomes more interesting, is that bronze. I think there's going to be some real competition here. And I don't know that Canada has it so locked up.
Although I will say there's an outside shot that maybe Japan could be competitive if the US were to like fail or have a really horrible showing, then you're like, maybe Japan, I think, could Japan beat Canada because they have the singles, they have amazing single skaters, you know,
right?
Rikuhira, Kaori Sakamoto, they have their pairs and, the ice dance team. So you're like, okay, Riku and Ruichi, Misato and Tim, could they do it? Right. And
because the pair gets stronger and stronger. They're creeping their way solidly into the top 10.
I think, can Shcherbakova land a quad and do a clean program? I think that is a big question mark. Could Tuktamisheva beat Shcherbakova? Could Rika beat Shcherbakova? What could happen? Right. Then Mikhail Kolyada, Evgeny Semenenko, Vicky and Nikki, as Renee calls them.
Yeah, they sent the A-list from Russia. That's for sure. Yeah.
They would like to sweep and come home with some coin, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now the Italians. There's even rumors that they want Kostornaia to come back for the Olympics.
She could make her team moment. You know what I mean? Even with a watered down program, she could probably beat, I guess France and Canada.
We haven't really seen her. I would love to see her skate. Can she get her? I mean, that's a big if. That's
a big ask. You know what I mean? She did more than was required of her last time.
Laura, Nicole Matteo, Charlene and Marco. I mean, they could be in it for.
Yeah, it was so interesting after they were so close, because they had dance pairs and ladies going for them for a while, and it was just no hope with the men. And now they have two really viable options in the men's event. But now, of course, we're lacking a woman.
France is pretty much the Amos and the Supremes. I mean, they have.
Yeah, I have to say some of these people I had not heard of.
So,
like Maya Matsara, I don't know who that is.
How dare you not know this skater? That is insulting. And how?
Oh, I was like, oh gosh. I assumed it was because May is injured and she's not going.
Yeah.
And we never heard from Laureen again.
We never did.
Stuck in that changing room. Look what she's done. We got two men now in the worlds changing their outfits because of Laureen.
You know what? She will be remembered for a long time.
It's true.
But in Russia, they'll say that was Anna Shcherbakova who invented that.
That's right. She did. Well, she definitely did it better. That she improved it. I will give her that. Yeah.
It was more camp to Lorraine doing it, because she went from like Sunday school Sandy to like.
But the Italians are like double dipping almost, because also there's that weird end of the Paris program where they just like hold up a part of their shirt and hide behind it. I was like, are you hiding because you didn't like how that went? Because yikes. Could be.
Jonathan, will Trusova return to Eteri? What do you think?
Wait, hold on. Before we get back to Trusova, because I do want to, that is the subject on my mind. I was curious why you thought Hawaii and Baker were our dance team chosen.
No freaking clue.
It seemed like sort of a confusing moment. I don't know if they wanted to rest the other two or get jumping on next year's material, or
maybe they went from next year's material. Who knows? Yeah, I don't actually know.
I mean, I still see them coming in third.
I don't see, well, Masato and Tim, but they have coaches in Japan. I don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of the intriguing. I think it's great that Alexa and Brandon have another outing.
Oh yeah. So for them, I think it's really important to skate well, and Jason Brown get that quad out. Karen Chen and Brady, I think between them, look, there are not that many opportunities that are guaranteed to happen before the Olympics.
Right.
Do not know if all the Grand Prix are going to happen, if they're all going to be virtual. Are they going to be, I think obviously you know that Skate America in some capacity will happen, probably in Las Vegas.
Well, if it works, if that's the way to make sure it does happen, yeah.
There are not that many guaranteed performance opportunities with these strains. And some of my friends in Canada, they're going into lockdown for a third time, and really struggling emotionally, mentally with that. So if you don't know when you get to perform again, this is a big opportunity for a lot of these skaters.
And it's intriguing, like, because we have success stories, and how do you follow those successes? Like, Karen had a really successful outing for her at Worlds. Does she ride the wave, or does she succumb to pressure? Does Jason ride a wave of excitement about the quad sow, or does it sort of backfire? Conversely, you have Alexa and Brandon. Do they rise to the occasion to sort of make amends for what they feel didn't go right at Worlds, or does it perpetuate what happened at Worlds? It could be interesting how people handle the emotion going in.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You hope it's a boost up, right? You hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also, skaters are typically so exhausted at this point, but they haven't competed as many times this year. So I think it's more exciting this year because they did so much. So it's, unless you're Russian.
And another event that's formally covered is very exciting for us. Like Worlds, it was just giving me that old taste of excitement of watching it live. Like, this will be more difficult, obviously, because it's in Japan. So that time zone poses more difficulties in me being able to watch without already knowing the result.
Okay. It'll still be fun to watch.
Yes, it will.
So do you think Trusova will go back to Eteri, and should she jump in?
Honestly, I kind of hope she stays and then becomes amazing without it. I don't know. I love the story of an underdog, and she's become an underdog. And I love someone trying to switch it up. It takes courage, and I would love to see that courage rewarded with amazing results. However, if I were in her position, yeah, I'd probably go back.
I mean, I'm into the storyline of Yana saying that if Laishev doesn't shut his mouth, she's going to go to reality TV with all the skeletons in the closet of Sambo 70. I mean, now that's entertainment. Okay, this.
Like, where can we stream that show?
These people are going to act upset about Meg. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold it, edge. Jonathan, I forgot to say you, and we're going to get yelled at because it was in my notes. Mao Shimada's quad toted. Mia Hamada's Little Wonder, doing a quad from Japan, spreading the wealth so that we're not just saying that all the quads are from Russia. It gave me hope. It gave me hope, Jonathan, okay?
And it was a lovely quad. It was a lovely one.
A lovely quad. There was knee bend. There was a smile.
It was right out. Yeah.
Oh my God. There was no pantomiming happening before or after.
We didn't even know you could do a quad without that.
I didn't know. Okay.
This is amazing. Yeah.
I didn't even hear Billie Eilish. Where was she?
What? How is this happening then? It's crazy. What a new world we've entered.
God. You know what? I think you're jealous of the Japanese skaters, Jonathan.
That I always have been. That's real. Yeah.
Hold an edge. It looks sexy, everyone. Bye.